There are scholars who have spent their lives searching for answers to the biggest mysteries in human history. Some have been dedicated in solving scientific mysteries of the universe. Others have tried to answer all the lingering questions about the beginnings of humanity. But the greatest scholars of all time have been obsessed with one subject and one subject only: the mysteries surrounding their favorite anime and mangas. While these scholars mostly hang around Reddit and not major universities, they definitely still count. They may have solved some of the coolest mysteries from anime lore, yet there are still many left over. Dragon Ball is the brainchild of Akira Toriyama. It's a magnificent franchise that has birthed some of the most interesting fictional universes of all time. There are still plenty of unanswered questions from the decades of content. We have 10 here for you that have irked fans for a long time. Here are the biggest Dragon Ball mysteries ranked from complicated to unsolvable. We've seen a lot of Vegeta's history over the years. His father, King Vegeta, is frequently featured in flashbacks throughout the franchise. These flashbacks often feature several other members of the Saiyan race. There's always someone missing though. The series has yet to clarify who Vegeta's mother was. This seems like a pretty major oversight for the series. One would assume that the Queen of all Saiyans would have been a pretty epic character. She could possibly have been epic like Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, only this version would have much spikier hair. We've met both of Goku's parents, so it almost seems intentional that Queen Vegeta isn't in the series. Perhaps she died long before the planet was destroyed. Maybe that's why King Vegeta is so angry all the time. Regardless, the lack of maternal affection really makes Vegeta's attitude understandable. Perhaps all he really needs is a hug to stop being so angry all the time. Frieza has established himself over the years as the top villain in the series. He's incredibly powerful, incredibly evil, and constantly full of surprises. What's weird is how little we know about his history. He was a major player in Dragon Ball Z and was recently brought back to play in Dragon Ball Super. One would think that some of his history would be explained by now. We've met King Cold, his father. His brother Cooler was featured in several DBZ movies, but those aren't canonical. It's possible Cooler may show up like Broly did in the Super franchise, but that remains to be seen. We've also met an alternate universe doppelganger of the character in the form of Frost, but that's about all we've seen of his people. This is really strange considering how naturally powerful they are. Is it possible that King Cold and Frieza destroyed all of their people? It would fit their MO. Frieza is not one to tolerate competition. With Frieza's transition from fighter to master manipulator, it would stand to reason that he'd find more soldiers like him. An army of Friezas would be quite formidable. They'd certainly be better than the losers he's employed in the Frieza Force right now. Maybe if he stopped destroying all of his best men, he'd have more competent warriors. Him and Darth Vader have that problem. They just can't stop offing their best employees. One of the biggest mysteries in the first half of Dragon Ball Z surrounded the legend of the Super Saiyans. No Super Saiyan had been seen for around 100 years. The very concept was thought to be a myth. The franchise would then repeat the same concept with the Super Saiyan God. Evidently, Saiyans don't keep good records. All their history is treated like it's probably made up. The moment that Goku becomes a Super Saiyan is one of the greatest in the entire extended franchise. Unfortunately, the concept of Super Saiyan becomes pretty mundane not long after that. Everyone who can be a Super Saiyan is a Super Saiyan. Doesn't look like it's actually that hard of a thing to achieve anymore. That begs the question, why are the Super Saiyans gone after all that time? Freaking Goten and Trunks are Super Saiyans and they're only children. The Saiyans were supposedly the master warriors of the universe. The entire culture was built around constantly trying to get stronger. So how did they just forget how to perform a technique that is evidently so basic that a child could do it? Is there some missing ingredient that Goku and his friends and family have discovered that the older Saiyans forgot? Either way, it makes you respect the old Saiyan warriors a lot less. Come on, Bardock, you should have been able to stop Frieza. Your grandson was able to top that power level before he hit high school. The first major conceit for the series was the hunt for the mystical Dragon Balls. While this is no longer the main focus of the series, it's still important to the story. We've seen multiple forms of the Eternal Dragons fulfill a ton of wishes at this point. What we don't know is what in the world the dragons are up to when they aren't wish-giving. We've seen a lot of realms in the Dragon Ball universe. King Kai's planet, Beerus' domain, and the realm used in the Tournament of Power are all great examples. It seems kind of odd that we've never seen the place where the dragons live when they aren't summoned. What do they do that whole time? Do they just sit around waiting for someone to summon them all day? Is it kind of like a firefighter's clubhouse? It would be cool if the series decided to flip the script on its most basic concept. What if one day Shenron summoned Goku to his realm to help defeat an evil dragon? We've seen Goku do a lot of cool stuff over the years, but slaying an eternal dragon may take the cake. There are a lot of features that make Saiyans Saiyans. They have a battle-ready spirit, they have tails that allow them to turn into giant monkey werewolf monsters, they are also able to transform into some pretty amazing forms like Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God. The most distinct feature of the race, though, is the hair. Most all Saiyans have that distinct spiky black hair look. Many of them do style it in different ways, though. Vegeta prefers his standing straight up, Raditz likes his to flow down his back like Fabio, whereas Goku sorta looks like he always just rolled out of bed. There is one Saiyan who is the major exception to this rule. One of the first Saiyans we meet in the series is Vegeta's partner in crime, NAPPA. What really makes him different, aside from the rocking stash, is the fact that he's completely bald. We've seen dozens of other Saiyans throughout the series, and he's the only one without any hair. Does he shave it, or is it a form of Saiyan pattern baldness? Could other characters one day suffer from this? This might not seem like much of a mystery, but fans have been puzzled over it for one really good reason. No one could properly picture what Super Saiyan Nappa would look like. The distinctive feature of a Super Saiyan is the glowing golden hair that sticks straight up. Would he just grow an even more impressive mustache instead? We may never know. In the original Dragon Ball series, one romance stood out above all others. No, we're not talking about Chi-Chi and Goku. Bulma and Yamcha were definitely the relationship MVPs of that series. If you had gone to high school with them, they would have been that one couple you were sure would have made it. Bulma would walk down the hall wearing Yamcha's Wolf Fang Fist Letterman's jacket. Yamcha would be sporting Bulma's class ring. That's why it's so weird that the relationship completely fell apart. When Goku returns from space, he is surprised to see that Bulma has a new son. His first reaction is that Yamcha is the father. Yamcha looks pretty embarrassed to admit that the dad is actually none other than Vegeta. While we do get a short flashback that explains how the relationship began, it's still very weird. Bulma was introduced to Vegeta as an evil psychopath who wanted to destroy the Earth. He even sent the soldiers that destroyed her boyfriend Yamcha. When they were on Namek together, the two didn't seem to get along any better. Bulma was pretty much terrified of him, for good reason too. When both Yamcha and Vegeta were returned from the dead on Earth, it seemed like Bulma and Yamcha would finally be happy. Only for some reason, Bulma gravitated to the crazy self-obsessed psycho guy. Don't get me wrong, their relationship has proven to be one of the sweetest in the franchise. Just look at how angry he was at Beerus, the god of freaking destruction, for striking her. The two definitely have better chemistry than Goku and Chi-Chi do. Those two just seem like they need a good divorce lawyer. Still, one can't help but feel bad for poor Yamcha. No one even calls him for the big fighting tournaments anymore. It can't be easy knowing that the guy who destroyed your original body stole your girl, your best friend, and all of your friends. He probably teaches high school gym now and goes on and on about the glory days in the original Dragon Ball. Yeah, you tell him about that Wolf Fang Fist. I'm sure those teenagers probably think you're cool. The world of Dragon Ball is on the edge of being utterly obliterated pretty much all the time. Earth is under threat from beings like Lord Piccolo, the Saiyans, the androids, Cell, Majin Buu, Lord Beerus, and more all of the time. It's basically like living in the MCU, only turned up to 11. Imagine if every villain in the MCU movies was as powerful and destructive as Thanos. That's basically what living on Dragon Ball Earth is like. Luckily, Earth also features the greatest heroes in the universe. People like Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta constantly save the planet from the brink of destruction. So why do people of the Earth constantly forget about them? The character Hercule, or Mr. Satan if you prefer the uncensored version, is depicted as Earth's supposed greatest fighter. Yet he can't fly or shoot energy beams. Everyone on Earth has seen warriors like Master Roshi, Tien, and Goku fight in tournaments before. These are basically super-powered light shows. How is that something you just forget? Even if they thought that it was just a hoax, Vegeta and Nappa completely destroyed several cities. What did they think happened there? It's also weird that no one has ever tried to call Vegeta out for that. You'd think that someone on Earth would have tried to sue him for damages by now. Maybe they're all just really into their cell phones. That can certainly be distracting. We've seen a lot of intergalactic nations in the Dragon Ball series. The Saiyans, the Frieza Force, the Galactic Patrol are all seen in the franchise. What's strange is that Earth has made no effort to join in the party. It isn't that Earth is technologically inferior either. Capsule Corp has no problem building cool spaceships. It doesn't seem like it would be difficult at all for the corporation to help the planet enter the galactic trade arena. If that wasn't enough, the planet literally has a magical dragon genie that can grant any request. If they'd wanted an awesome space armada, all they'd have to do was summon Shenron. This would also help the planet with those alien invasions that occur every 6 months or so. For whatever reason, the humans just seem much more concerned with televised fighting tournaments than anything else. Fans of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super may not actually know how Piccolo originally came onto the show. His father, Lord Piccolo, was actually one of the biggest villains in the original series. The best fights in the OG Dragon Ball featured Goku and Piccolo battling it out. Just don't watch the Dragon Ball Evolution version. That's just awful. When Goku does finally take out Lord Piccolo, he tries to get the ultimate revenge. He forms an egg in his mouth and spits it across the world. Inside the egg is his son, Piccolo Jr., or the Piccolo we know and love today. With everyone in the series having kids now, it would be interesting to see Piccolo try his hand at fatherhood. Does he have the same asexual reproductive abilities? Is that how all Namekians reproduce? Mostly, it would just be awesome to see what kind of dope kid Piccolo III would be. Goten and Trunks could use a broody best friend. Of all of the mysteries in the Dragon Ball series, one is the most prevalent. It's been sitting there since day one of the early days of the franchise with no explanation. Where is Krillin's nose? He's the only character in the franchise who doesn't have one. Not only that, but no one else really seems to ever notice. Did it get blown off while he was training? Was he born without one and everyone is just super polite about it? Does he actually have one, but it just isn't drawn for some reason? Clearly, it isn't genetic because Marin has a nose. This is the question we need answered immediately, Akira Toriyama. The mystery of Krillin's nose cannot stand any longer! 30 years is long enough. Were there any major mysteries that we may have missed? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more from The Binger. Thanks for watching.